How's it going, sir? My understanding, you were in the room when someone was shot?
Holding the gun, yeah.
Okay, alrighty.
What do you need?
Chilling moments there following the fatal shooting of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins. Actor-producer Alec Baldwin is now facing charges of involuntary manslaughter for what happened on the set of Rust back in 2021. For more on this, let's welcome in the host of the Naughty But Nice podcast, Rob Shooter, and former prosecutor and constitutional attorney and Newsmax contributor Ameer Benno. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Ameer, I'll start with you. So Baldwin's being charged with involuntary manslaughter along with the armorer, Gutierrez-Reed, who oversaw the firearms on set. So Baldwin was holding the gun that discharged, killing Halyna Hutchins. Did you expect these charges?
Yes, I did. Because keep in mind, Allison, and good morning to you and Rob, the charge itself is different than a murder charge. So a murder charge would require there to be some intent. This is different. The way it's defined in New Mexico is a killing that occurs while the person is engaged in a lawful but dangerous act without exercising due caution and circumspection. So they're saying essentially that Alec Baldwin was reckless, that really very criminally negligent, and that was because he allowed live ammunition to be on the set in the first place. Second, he cocked and fired the gun even though the scene didn't call for it. Third, he fired the gun towards people from 4 feet away in violation of safety protocols, and even though the script didn't say to do that. And four, the gun was handed to him by an assistant director, not the armorer. Mm-hmm. The person didn't check the gun, and Alec Baldwin should have assumed that it was loaded, but he didn't check it himself. That and some other things are why they're saying that he acted with a sort of disregard for the fact that what he could do could be, injurious or cause death.
Yeah, Rob, the DA said, quote, "On my watch, no one is above the law." I know yesterday when this news broke, a lot of people on social media, especially in Hollywood, saying, that he shouldn't face these charges. And he obviously trusted the person who gave him the gun for it not to be loaded. Do you think that Baldwin expected this?
I think Alec Baldwin is absolutely shocked about this. I think he had no idea this was coming. He did a big interview where he sat down and basically said he had been exonerated and his lawyers had been pretty much told that this was not going to happen. It did happen. I think there's a difference here between the really aggressive PR campaign that Alec has really been pushing and the reality here. A lot of people felt as if this was over. Remember, there was a statement that the civil case had been dropped and he was working with Halyna's family to complete the movie. I think a lot of people who weren't paying close attention to the legalese of this just assumed this was over and they were going to start reshooting the movie in a couple of weeks. Now we know the prosecutor is having none of that, and now things got really serious for Alec.
Yeah, I think you're right. Everyone kind of thought it was done, especially after that civil case. Ameer, Alec Baldwin joined George Stephanopoulos a year ago outlining the events that took place. Listen.
It wasn't in the script for the trigger to be pulled.
Well, the trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger.
So you never pulled the trigger?
No. I would never point a gun at anyone and pull a trigger at them. Never. That was the training that I had. You don't point a gun at me and pull the trigger.
Ameer, this was about a year ago. A lot of people saying he should not have done that interview. How does this affect the case? Does this, help the prosecution?
Well, I think it helps the prosecution because the FBI did an investigation into it and determined that what Alec Baldwin said in that interview was false, that in fact he did pull the trigger. There's no way for it to have discharged unless he pulled the trigger. So they pretty much contradicted what he said. Can't help his case that he went on and said something like that. Does sound like he's trying to conceal consciousness of guilt. Yeah, I do think that it hurts him.
Yeah. Rob, I want to pivot now and ask you about Jeremy Renner. So he has been released from the hospital after his near-death accident with a snowplow. I know reports say it was far worse than what we thought. How does it look like he's doing?
Yeah, we spoke about this just days after the accident on your show. My insiders, my sources were telling me right from day one that this was really, really serious. And now that has been confirmed. I'm told that he could be out of movie making for at least a couple of years. There's fears of whether or not he'll ever be able to run, walk again. This is really, really serious. Everybody's sending him their best. He's lucky to be alive, but I think this is going to very much impact his future in those at least action roles in movies.
Yeah, hopefully he'll recover quicker than what's predicted. Ameer, let's pivot now to the story out of Massachusetts that everybody's talking about. Brian Walsh charged with the murder of his wife. Of course, we have these lengthy amount of Google searches we saw. They don't have a body yet. Does the state have a case because they don't have a body?
Yeah, they definitely have a case. I mean, at the arraignment, the prosecutor went through a laundry list of evidence from which a jury could circumstantially draw the inference that he was the perpetrator. Google searches, internet searches, purchases of all sorts of items, not video surveillance, but video footage of him. And then they discovered evidence in a dumpster that had, his DNA and her DNA on it. So while having the body certainly would make the case a lot easier, they can prove guilt. They can get a conviction without it.
Yeah, those alleged Google searches are unbelievable. If you read everything he was searching within those days. Ameer Benno, Rob Shooter, great to have you. Have a good weekend.
Hey, take care.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey guys, it's Rob Carson. Your retirement funds are being threatened with even more losses from record inflation, recession, and skyrocketing interest rates. Fortunately, the highly trained specialists at American Hartford Gold can show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. If you call them right now as a special offer, they will give you a free gold coin on your first qualifying order, so don't wait. Call 866-935-4309. That's 866-935-4309 or text Newsmax to 65532. That's Newsmax to 65532.